In this video, let's take a look at creating a custom report that focuses on grouping prompts and calculated columns. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to create a report that groups by cost code and by project. So I'm basing it off of my primary data source of AP Bill Detail. And in the next step of the wizard, I choose the columns that I want to pull into that report. So I'm doing base amount, project ID, cost code ID, total paid, and then I also wanted to pull in project name. So I opened up that section and pulled in project name, and I wanted to pull in the cost code name as well. So I opened up the cost code section and pulled in the cost code name. So next step of the wizard then is where I add my calculated column. So if I select it here and hit edit, what I've done is I've said my base amount minus the total that's been paid is going to give me my amount due. So you have your columns that you can pull from here and then your operators. So plus, minus, multiply, divide. How do you want that to come out? Currency, percentage, decimal, and give it a name. So I created that calculated column. That is information that I actually can just pull in, but it's just the best example that I could come up with off the top of my head. So that's what I used for this video. And then, you select your column sequence, how you want your columns to appear on the report. We've seen that already. The next step then is to add in your column totals. So I'm going to do a sum for my base amount. I'm going to do a sum for my total paid. And then we're going to sum on my calculated column, which is my amount due also. So next up, sorting columns. I'm just doing ascending order of project ID. And then for my filter, I want project ID to not be empty. You can play around with that. We've seen this already, the different options that you have for filtering. And then in this video, I am going to decide that I do want to group the information. I'm going to group that data. So in the next step, then I want to group it by project ID. So project ID is how I want to group that information. And then I also want to group it by standard cost code name. So I went down to my cost code section. So I'm grouping it by project and then by cost code. And in the next step, it gives me the option of how I want them to order. So project ID first and then by cost code. And I want it in ascending order of project ID. And then for my default date, I'm going to pull in inception to date. So I want all of the data for inception to date for all of those projects. And then you can obviously put in whatever you want here. And the next step, you define output for chart display. I'm going to leave that alone. I think I did put in group by project ID here. And then additional prompts when I'm running the report. So I have chosen project ID as a prompt. I'm also going to select location ID if I wanted to just run for a particular location, and that's a prompt that I will see come up when I run this report. Next, then you can organize your prompts. So what position do you want them to come in? So location is first, that's fine. If I want a project to be first, I could just move that around, but that's fine the way it is. And then I've called a test report, decided I want to add it to the menu, and I'm going to add it to the application accounts payable. So I'm going to save that. And now in accounts payable, custom reports, I have my test report. So if I click on it, then it'll bring me into it and it gives me my option for my filters here. So I had chosen that I wanted a prompt for project ID and location ID. So I have that option to filter out by project or by location because that's what I chose on the report. I am not going to filter. Actually, I can filter it. I can filter it by, I'll just show Porterhouse for now and view the report. So it's showing me all of my cost codes. So it's my transactions by cost code, grouped by cost code, and then grouped into projects. So if I customize that and I get rid of the porterhouse project that I selected and just view all, it's grouping transactions by cost code, and then it's by project. So here is my Springfield Civic Center edition, Quick Bowls, the Crest, and they're grouped by cost code as well. And I have my base amount, my total paid, and here's my calculated column, which is showing me my amount due. So that is just an example of what you can do with custom reports. So we saw a really basic one, and then how grouping affects it as well. So custom reports, they're really easy to build out. It's just a matter of knowing what your data source is that you need and kind of playing around with those different sections to pull in the information that you need. So that is custom reports, and stay tuned for the next video.